Hello friends, thinks that everybody should be entitled to their opinion so long as it agrees with my opinion here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, in which we're going to be talking about this brand new matchmaking update that they've released, I should say Valve released on January 16th, 2020. So that is the ranked matchmaking update that they released today. So before getting into this, I do want to say that I actually recorded a full reaction to this already. I read it over, gave my baseline kind of initial reaction, and if you look at my other screen here, I'm rendering that video. But while it was rendering, I was able to play a few games. So I've been able to formulate an opinion on it, and I'm kind of excited. So I wanted to re-record it, give you my opinion with some first impressions as well. But let's read it first. So, first, they've removed the variability in the amount of MMR that you gain or lose from a match. This means that there's no longer going to be the plus 10s, minus 40s in terms of MMR. So the first thing that I want to say about this is that I know that it's kind of embarrassing for our entire community to be so obsessed and honestly visceral to some degree when it comes to MMR. Maybe it's not healthy, but it's the way it is. It's what has fueled a lot of people to be really addicted to Dota, to be incredibly competitive, to try to get to like a pro level or to try to get to divine. Like, it seems like everybody has a goal when it comes to matchmaking. I've never had somebody come to me for coaching, and maybe this is confirmation bias. I've never had somebody come with a replay they want reviewed and just like, oh, I want to get better. They're always, the first thing is always, I want to get divine. I want to get ancient. And it makes sense. We are humans. We like goals. So one thing that I want to say about this is that I think that the minus 10s, plus 40s, minus 40s, all of those sorts of ridiculous like amounts that you could gain or lose, that was ruining the matchmaking, the MMR that fueled people. And that's not good for the game. So I'm glad that they changed this, because my theory, and maybe you could debunk this, but my theory is that because you could play for an entire day and go 5-3 in terms of wins and losses, and you could still lose MMR, I think that was ruining the dopamine rush that people were getting from the game previously when they looked at their MMR. They'd be like, oh, I won today. You know, you'd have that cycle where you want to play the next day because the last day was so good, and you're trying to kind of recreate that win streak that you got that one time. And I think that was kind of ruining that dopamine rush that people were getting there. And the reason that I say that is because I think that people are very good at focusing on like the negatives. You would get just as many plus 40s, unless you're very unlucky, as you would get minus 40s. But the minus 40s is what would ruin the rush for you. You'd be like, oh, you know, today I lost and it doesn't really matter if I win because I'm just going to get, you know, you'd think about the negatives. So I think that this is good that they're changing this. I think that this works better with the human psychology when it comes to people wanting to continue to play the game. And this makes sense. I mean, even before, they were lowering the ranks, lowering the badges as the season progressed so people could feel like they're progressing. So Valve is well aware of this kind of human psychology element to things. And so this is more in line with that. And then instead of matches giving 25 MMR, solo games now give 30 and party games give 20 MMR. We have confidence that in the impact of a player on the game when they are solo compared to a party. Thus, we're willing to move a player's MMR faster and slower depending on that. So this is something that in the time that I was rendering the video, I was able to play a few games, ask people a couple of questions on what they thought about the new matchmaking. And it seems like if you are playing in a party, you will gain 20 for winning, but you will lose 30 for losing. However, if you're playing solo, you will win 30 and then you will lose 30 if you lose. So all losses are 30, but if you are playing in a party, it is slightly to your detriment. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that if you're playing in a party, you have a significantly higher chance of gaining MMR. You have a significantly higher chance of winning. Maybe 20-30, maybe 20 versus 30 is too big. Maybe it needs to be 25, but I actually really like this because, and especially that's the case due to the fact that you can queue a 3-stack and a 2-stack into 5 solo players, or a 3-stack and 2 random people into 5 solo players. Like, you had these really unbalanced games in terms of parties, and the reason that was the case is because they wanted to have more possible high quality games, right? You have to reduce the constraints if you want to have like the other constraints be met. So like have more better average MMR, you're going to have to not give people their roles. You're going to have to not have the parties be balanced. So that makes a lot of sense, and I like that they're now essentially punishing you if you are in one of those games where it's very favored for you to win because you have a party and they don't, and now you're only going to get 20 MMR for winning. So then they also removed fast and slow queue, and I really like this. This is why I wanted to re-record the video. And they replaced it with ranked roles and ranked classic. So to play in ranked roles, you need to earn role queue games. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, but I guess this is just to balance the system. So you basically select all roles. This is unchanged from before. I have played a couple, and I can say that I queued for ranked classic, and I did not get any role queue tokens. So you have to queue all roles in the actual ranked roles queue. So they said, is it going to come back here? It is. Okay, good. We're making this change because the slow fast queue concept has not been successful in producing good quality games. I want to come back to this in a second. The end result was that the slow queue was waiting a little bit longer than forcing very bad quality matches on the entire player pool. We think that's a fair requirement to enforce. If you want to have the advantage of playing a specific role, you have to contribute to the matchmaking system, sometimes by playing other roles or just queue roleless as in previous years. So going back to this, we are making this change because slow fast queue concept has not been successful. I really like that Valve is essentially admitting that they tried something and that it didn't work. This shows to me that they are looking to make an overhaul of the ranked system, which is what everybody wanted. Everybody was so sick of people stealing roles and griefing, and the community was being called toxic. And the matchmaking dude, or the team behind matchmaking, whoever it is, they were able to, they're essentially working towards trying to make the game a little bit less toxic when it comes to these like low, quote unquote, low quality games with behavior score, people not getting their roles, and so forth. But they tried this, it didn't work, it was a failure, and they're essentially going back to the drawing board with this. And it's very possible, as a lot of people in this Reddit thread are saying, that they might just go all the way back to how matchmaking worked before. So I said at the start of the video, I had to sit down, I had to re-record this because I had some opinions, some thoughts after playing a couple of games, and here's what they are. Basically, I had this realization that this patch could actually work. The reason that I think that it could work is because, in my opinion, the single most important thing, the most important change to Dota in the past 5 to 6 months, maybe even in the past couple of years, is that ranked became something you could do as a party. It became something you could do with your friends. And I think that's really important for the game. I think that people are way more likely to play games with their friends, generally speaking. And then also, Dota is a team game. If you were to take 5 of the top players from the leaderboards, take literally the first 5, unless it's like all of Team Liquid or something, and put them against a random tier 1, tier 2 team, that 5 group of high-skilled players, they're not gonna hold a candle to the real team, because teamwork trumps individual skill in Dota, and I think OG has proven that 2 years in a row at TI. Obviously not that they're not individually skilled, but obviously their teamwork. I mean, they're goddamn Exodia, let's be real. Anyway, back to the point. So basically, any system that makes it reasonably legit to queue with a party, but also not encourage smurfing, that is something that I'm super supportive of. So I had this realization that now the choice is a big choice is essentially on the player. So you have the choice between ranked classic, where you're guaranteed to get 30 if you win with solo, and you're guaranteed to get 20 if you win with party, and you're guaranteed to only lose 30. So 100% you know what you're getting into in terms of the MMR gain and loss. And I was thinking, like, how could that work? How could that be balanced? What if I queue into Smurfs, etc., etc.? But then I had the realization that if you aren't queuing with roles, then that is way less constraints that the matchmaker has to satisfy. So if you queue ranked classic, it's literally ranked classic. It's just the old ranked matchmaking. So you are way more likely to have a plus 30 MMR game actually be a plus 30 MMR game. Or you can risk it. And you can prefer instead to play your role. Maybe your opinion is, okay, as long as I get my role, I'm going to win. I don't care if there are Smurfs, but maybe you're going to get an unbalanced game. But maybe you're also sure that even if the game is a little unbalanced, you are more likely to win it as long as you get your role. So that's kind of the thing, is you have that choice where you can risk to get your role and then possibly have a game that's harder than a plus 30, but you still only get plus 30 for it, or minus 30, or you can queue ranked classic and you can get almost a guaranteed balanced game for plus 30, plus 20 for party. So essentially, this all allows us to have a system where you can play with your friends. Games will be relatively balanced so long as you're queuing ranked classic, or you can make the choice to have less balanced games and queue with the ranked roles. So I really like this system, legitimately. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm overhyping it, but this excites me after playing 2 games of it. I had this realization in it. It feels pretty goddamn good. Also, the thing is with this static MMR, now smurfing is really not. I don't see why you would ever smurf and boost somebody in a party, because you only matchmake based off of the highest rated player's MMR. So there's no impact of actually having a Smurf on your team. So that makes Smurfing a lot less likely. So I really like this new system. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you in another video.